Aloha, everyone. Happy holidays. We will continue with our holiday theme of connecting down into the feet and legs so we feel really rooted and grounded as we expand and become creative and spacious. There's a lot of swirling excitement during the holidays, and it's fun and it's uplifting, and we should be able to feel all those things, but we can feel them even more when we're grounded. So that's the energy we'll be cultivating physically and on deeper levels as well. With that, let's begin by turning to the left and coming down onto the belly. Take your time. Enjoy the way down, and I will do a shameless plug for my playlist because it's super fun, and the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy is better with the actual song. So if you don't always use the music, I definitely recommend it today, but I'll tell you when to hit play. We can be in silence for now. So as you're ready, stack the hands elbows wide, forehead to hands, and make sure this position feels comfortable. So wiggle around, set up any props underneath your arms or your belly, whatever helps you feel cozy and supported without too much pressure in sensitive areas. And then give yourself permission to relax, to soften, to be held by the earth. And this pose might feel really relaxing, almost like a mini nap moment, but there's something really powerful happening as the diaphragm presses into the earth. You're literally getting stronger. Your breath is literally becoming more powerful. I'm sorry, it took me a moment to find that word, Angeli. I'm still here. And so appreciate that dance of being soft and being relaxed, but feeling that energetic work that's happening. Aloha, Roseanne. Welcome. And this is the magic of this style of yoga, that we can have our movement be effortless, yet we truly are getting stronger. And all of you have practiced with me long enough to have experienced that for yourself. And let's just take a few breaths to witness the breath, witness that dichotomy of softness and strength. And as the diaphragm activates, you often have the opportunity to relax your superficial muscles. So maybe there's a little tightness in your low back that you can let go of, or in the jaw, in the neck, in the shoulders. You know your spots. Try breathing through the nose, keeping the mouth shut, and feel that subtle strength building at your center, and see if you can release any tension at the surface. We'll just take a couple more breaths here and try to be okay doing nothing. If you notice that almost like, okay, what's the next feeling? Try to open up to what's happening right now. And then ever so gently start to melt the arms forward, so the arms are reaching away from the feet reaching away from the hands. Let the forehead come to your mat or your blanket, and take a moment just in this straight line. Gently start to push the elbows down, and notice a brightening in the arms and the shoulders, and then bring the palms to the earth and start to glide the hands back until they're underneath the shoulders. Try to keep the elbows tucked in. It's okay if the hands need to come a little wider to squeeze the elbows in. And then let the hand stop just about at the shoulders. Keep that backwards moving energy tractioning into the mat as the hands pull back, and notice how that enlivens the triceps and the root of the shoulder blades. Maybe you even feel a little extra space in the neck as you do that. And then release that effort and take a couple of pulses like that, reaching the arms forward, maybe with an inhale or whatever feels natural with you, and then the opposite part of the breath, gliding the hands back, anchoring them down and starting to wake up the backs of the arms, the shoulders, and the back body. 1 or 2 more. As you repeat, you might notice you can lengthen the spine more, and you want to start to hover the head. You're welcome to do that in a baby cobra. And the next time the hands glide down, we'll all play with that. So first the triceps awaken, then the shoulder blades drag down, and then let the spine lengthen forward, just hovering the head. Keep the gaze down so the back of the neck is nice and long. You don't want to feel really any work at the back of the neck. And then let's start to play with reaching the feet back, and notice if it helps you lengthen the spine and hover just a little more effortlessly above your yoga mat. And then set that down, slide the arms forward, and repeat. Now lifting through the upper body, reaching through the legs, and we'll add on swaying the spine towards the right. Play with reaching back with the left foot, and notice if that allows your head to reach even more to the right. See, curving the spine, and then arms reach forward, forehead down, and we repeat that going to the other side. So now we add in the side bend. If you're swaying to the left, then you reach the right leg back, and then inhale to reach the arms forward. And rest here at any time, especially if the arms or the back body is getting tired. And you'll repeat this on your own for a few more repetitions, and I want you to just pay particular attention to how reaching the opposite foot back allows you to have more support through the spine, more reach, more length, more buoyancy. And this is the dance we're going to be doing throughout class, using our feet and legs so that we can get more expansion in our back bends, in our side bends. So the unity is what allows us to become very spacious. 1 more to each side. And then the next time the arms reach forward, drag just the right hand back. Push into the right hand so you can roll onto your left side. And yes, we do this a lot, and it's my favorite, but it feels so good after what you just did, waking up the muscles in the arms and the shoulders. So just appreciate that extra nectar-like experience of massaging muscles that might feel awake or maybe even fatigued. Close the eyes if it helps you drop into sensation. And I find that it's easiest to feel the arm and the rib cage, the head area. Notice what it takes to shine your awareness all the way down the legs to the feet. Almost as if you could pop out of your body and observe the whole thing as you gently rock and massage here. And when we do this, when we're able to expand and see our whole body, we're no longer controlling isolated movements. We're giving our body the opportunity to work holistically as it's meant to. Take a moment to pause, flex the feet, and notice that sensation of the femurs anchoring into the hip socket. See if you can keep a neutral pelvis here, and then allow the top leg to reach back. It's up to you if you want to keep the foot hovering or if you want to melt it down. Just make sure your option feels great. And then slide the top arm forward opposite the foot. We'll do a little tug of war here. So first the arm's going to win. Start to reach the arm forward towards the corner of the yoga mat. Let it pull on the right shoulder and then the chest. And then start to reach the right leg behind you, and notice how that peels the hip open and slowly stacks the body. Be really gentle with this. Tug of war is kind of a dramatic expression of what's really happening, but we're making connections. And continue on your own with that arm reach and then the leg reach. And what's most important here is not going deep into letting the hip open behind you, but instead trying to feel how the rib cage and the pelvis are connected, how the muscles integrate, and how the body can work in unison. And the next time the right arm starts to reach forward, let it win. So you return to your belly. You can pause here with arms overhead, melt the forehead, or stack the hands and let the elbows come wide as we did in the beginning of class. Just whatever is most comfortable for you. Reconnect with the breath as we prepare for the other side. We'll do one round of our lateral bends here. So arms reach overhead, slowly glide the hands back underneath the shoulders, reach the feet back to peel the spine away from the mat. Start to lengthen the spine up and over to the right, and then reach your left foot back. And notice how it just magically takes you deeper. And then go to the other side. And now right hand slides long, push into the left hand. So you roll onto the right side, your back facing me. First, just pause, melt, soften, and then start your gentle rocks. You might notice an area of the body right away, perhaps the tender side of the hip, or an area even in the neck or arm. And then slowly and patiently let your awareness expand until eventually you can imagine your whole body ever so gently traveling a little bit forward and a little bit back in space. And then of course always make sure the bottom arm feels comfortable here, so can change the angle of the arm, bend the elbow, do whatever takes the pressure off of the shoulder if it's too much. And then we'll begin our tug of war. So first, pause at center, flex the feet, find a neutral pelvis, which should feel like the core brightens slightly as you do that. And then lift the left leg, draw it behind you, option to keep it up or lower it down. Reach the left arm towards the upper corner of the yoga mat and let the hand pull you gently towards the belly, but not quite landing there. And then top leg pulls back. Take your time here. Maybe you notice one feels stronger, like it's really easy with the arm, but hard with the leg. And this is a time to make those connections. So try lesser movements, smaller movements until both feel equally strong. It's almost as if the leg helps even as the arm is pulling and vice versa. They're working together. And the next time the hand wins, gently return to the belly for one last moment. Let's all stack hands, elbows wide, and just notice any sense of awareness that's expanded through your body, any warmth in the shoulders and the hips. Bring the hands, or actually no, don't do anything, and I'm just going to be quiet for a moment. And if you'd like to hit play on the first track, now is a great time to do that. Bring hands underneath the shoulders and gently push into the hands to come up to tabletop. Walk the hands in until they're underneath the shoulders and shift the weight from hand to hand, giving your hands, wrists, elbows, and shoulders the opportunity to soften and find the most comfortable place to be. Bring some awareness to the spine and take a moment to find neutral. Sometimes it's fun to do like a tiny cat and cow And then let the movement get smaller and smaller until it feels like you're at a center point. And start to sway the hips from side to side. So you're wagging your tail. Just like our tug of war, notice how as the hips sway to one side, the connections you feel into the opposite arm. And then let the hips come to center. Push into the hands and the knees so that you can evenly round your spine into cat. We're going to hula hoop the spine laterally, so shift the weight to the left, slowly start to drop through cow, and then shift the weight to the right in cow, and then round back into that right weighted cat. Shift to the left, staying in cat, and then we repeat. So it's like a big barrel roll with the spine. Try moving extra slow and be really curious to find the place here that's the hardest to explore. And move even slower through that, seeing if you can unstick some of your vertebra, get a little more evenness through the spine. Start to notice how the movement of the spine relates to the sensation in the hips, even the outer hip. And play with doing the same action without shifting so much weight in the hands and knees. And the movement's going to get a little smaller, but you might feel stronger and more integrated. You might feel a little more waking up. And come back to center, press into the hands to send the hips to the heels, turn the palms face up. Relax for one moment. Connect with the breath. Let the belly press into the thighs. Feel the back body expand. And then float back up. We'll do the same thing circling in the opposite direction. So if you did follow with me, we'll round into cat and then we'll shift to the right, drop into cow, and then shift back to the left and start to explore at your own pace and your own size. And whenever it feels right for you, you have that option to not shift quite so much weight in the knees and hands and let more of the work come from the core and the movement of the spine. And this actually builds a lot of stability in the shoulder girdle and in the pelvis, and it builds strength in the core. Take a couple more breaths to explore. And then come to center. And this time, instead of pushing back into Bhaktasana, press the hips back but push down into the knees and shins so you can roll up to a high kneel and take your time. And then turn 3/4 just so it's a little bit easier to observe me. We'll keep our knees, hips, and shoulders in a straight line, hands to the front of the pelvis, and ever so gently let the knees bend so you can lean back just a little bit. And notice what happens underneath the fingertips. The hands can angle in so they're coming into the soft tissue inside of the hip bones. You might notice just a little, I call it brightening. You might have a different word for it. And see if you can use that sense of strength and activation to stay really long through the spine and create extra space through each vertebra. Notice what the feet are doing. Play with pushing down a little extra into the feet and see if that helps. See if you can grow through the neck. And the next time you rock forward, we're going to add on. So from here, we'll take a kneeling chair so the hips hinge, spine stays neutral, and then tuck the tailbone under so the spine actually rounds. Push down into the shins to come back up, unraveling one vertebra at a time to neutral, and then we return to the rock back. So rock back, And then as we come forward, kneeling chair, nice and slow. Try to feel equal weight in both feet, both shins. Tuck the tailbone and push down into the shins to slowly roll up. And you know, I'm being a bad example. You don't have to go so deep in that, especially if it feels hard. It might just be like a 45-degree hinge. Let's do 2 more. So rock back, alternating with the hip roll. Last one. We might have gotten a bonus round in there. This one's really good for you, so that's okay. And the next time you float up, reach the arms overhead like we did on our belly. Push down into the right knee and let that send you up and over to the right. Drop the left hand and use an exhale to float it. Take a couple of those, noticing how that exhale helps you get really long and spacious in the side bend. And then come up to center and really gently circle the shoulders back. And for me, it's almost like the movement is coming from my knees and the rest of my body is ever so gently responding. And then we'll do the second side. So float the arms. Be really soft and gentle here. You can even bend the elbows and imagine the shoulders landing on the rib cage. And then push into the left knee and start to reach up and over to the right with the whole side body. And feel the rib cage stay connected to the pelvis. Keep the right side body longer here. Release the right arm down, and then as you exhale, reach up and over to the right, keeping that left side of the rib cage pulling down. Take a couple of pulses like that. The next time you come into it, push down into the left knee a little bit more and see if that helps you get more space. And then come back to center, release the arms and go into those nice gentle sways with the spine pushing down into the left knee to turn to the right, circling the right shoulder back, and then vice versa. So across the body from opposite knee to opposite shoulder. And then come back to center. If you're following along with the music, you can hit play on the next track. Feel free to grab another sip of water and feel free to grab a blanket because we are doing a little bit more on the knees, and that was already a lot of kneeling. So actually, I'm going to require it because I want everyone's knees to be very happy. So please grab a blanket, even if you have super strong knees. Okay, and we'll stay at this 3/4 turn. Welcome back, Anjali, yay. I don't know if you heard, let's all use a blanket underneath our knees. And we'll meet in tabletop. With your next exhale, slide the left foot back and try that a couple of times and notice how the rest of the body gets a little stronger once the left leg is no longer supporting you. The next time it slides back, tuck those left toes under, let the right knee come forward slightly. Push down into the right shin so the right hip is active and it's not sinking. And then let's play with some big circles with the pelvis, kind of like the movement we did in cat-cow, that barrel roll like action. Let the hips circle to the left and then down and then right and then up. And just like that cat-cow, you can keep equal weight in both knees and both hands and let the movement get smaller, but notice how much strength that activates in the core. And then change directions. And for those of you who were here last week, same transition options as last week. We'll start with option 1 and then we'll build into option 2. So first, slide the left knee forward, come up to kneeling, and then keep the left leg traveling forward into your lunge. So that's going to be option 1 when we come back to it later. So 90-90 lunge, hip right over the right knee. Float the arms, and just like we practiced in kneeling, push down into the right knee and side bend over to the left. Drop the left arm and exhale to hover it. If it's not too many balls to juggle, inhale up as you drop the arm and exhale side bend as that arm lifts. And the most important thing here is to feel how the side bend goes down into the right hip and into the right leg. It's not just about the rib cage moving, it's really connected down into the knee and the leg. And then the next time you come up, release the hands down, slide the left leg all the way back to the pigeon that you came from, and we'll add on here. So push evenly into both legs, shift the weight into the left hand, circle the right arm forward, up, and back. And let's do one more. Nice and easy, half of the effort of the first one. As the arm comes down, you have option 1 to slide left knee in to meet the right, or to just shift into the right knee and step the left foot all the way forward into that side bending lunge. So it's up to you. Please honor that right knee and shin. From the side bend, push down into the right knee. Let the whole right side body open. Take one pulse with the arm. And then we lower to tabletop at the same time that the left leg slides back, going right into our spiraling pigeon. And it's up to you. You can take it slow, and you can do a few circles before you transition back to the lunge, and you can do a few pulses in the lunge. Or Kara was calling this a running pigeon. So if you want to go for a pigeon run, you can just pulse back and forth. Check in with the right hip and the right knee. It is taking a lot of weight if you're choosing that second transition, so really try to move slowly and feel strong and integrated. And you always have that option 1 for the transition if that feels safer. And take your time. There's no need to rush, but we'll all meet in the side bending lunge. Bring your left hand into the left hip crease, push down into the right knee, let the right side of the body expand, and then gently steer the heart downward and then steer the heart upward. And we're not going far here, we're just trying to allow the layers of muscles to glide on the side body. It's not about the right arm, you should be starting to feel it down into the movement of the hip and even the thigh bone. If you feel somewhere really interesting, you can pause and breathe there. And then we'll all lower the hands inside of the left foot, tuck the back toes, and we're coming into a forward fold. So if it's comfortable, just step the back foot forward into your forward fold, or meet us here however feels good. Sway your hips from side to side. And then make your way up to standing. I like rolling up here, but for people with osteoporosis, it can be a little too much pressure on the bone. So just make sure you're supporting your body. And when you come all the way up, pause. Notice the asymmetry between sides. You can enjoy the stillness, or maybe the hips want a little circle. I'll leave that up to you. And for me, it was a lot on the right side, so I wanted you guys to be able to experience that, but we are just traveling back down to do the other side. So press down into the feet, circle the arms up and overhead, letting the whole front of the body lengthen. And then, as is comfortable for you, bend the knees, hinge the hips, let the body start to melt, and we'll make our way back down to tabletop, lowering the knees back to the blanket. Take your time, there's no need to rush. Once you've returned to tabletop, we'll begin that sequence now with the right leg sliding back. So I like to use an exhale here. Feel free to try that. Exhale, slide the right leg back without moving anything else in the body, and then bring it back in. Try that a couple of times, seeing how stable you can be. Keep the foot in contact with the blanket. It's actually harder than lifting it. And the next time the leg slides back, tuck the toes under, hover the left knee, let it come forward just a little bit, and then start to circle the hips. Push down into the back foot and the front knee. So there's really a sense of the pelvis staying lifted and light, and the right hip staying connected to the left hip. So the right leg isn't reaching and pulling back. It's almost anchoring in, like when you flex the feet on when you're laying on your side. And then we'll play with our option 1 transition. So the right knee slides in, roll up to kneeling, and then right leg continues forward right into your lunge. Lift the hands, push into the left knee for your side bend, and then drop the right arm. Use your exhale to hover the arm and play with a couple of pulses here. And it's really about reaching up and over. Imagine there's almost like a 6-foot wall next to you, and you're like trying to get your hands up and over it. So it's not about bending deeper to the side. Though that might happen, let's try to feel how this side bend integrates down into the left leg, and how you can use both legs to have more support for the spine. The next time you come up, release the hands inside of the right foot. Take your time gliding the right foot back, returning to our more linear pigeon. The front knee isn't swiveled much. And then shift the weight into the right hand, circle left hand forward, up and back just a couple of times. Nice and slow, letting the movement of the arm rotate the whole body so you can feel how the left side of the rib cage interacts with the outer left hip and outer left thigh. Next time the hand comes down, 2 options: either slide the right knee next to the left, or just push down into the left knee, slowly come up, balancing, and then step the right foot forward and come into your side lunge. And then remember, you can take a few pulses here, especially if that transition is challenging or you just want as much support as possible for your joints. And then as you feel ready, you'll glide back into your spiraling pigeon. So please give yourself permission to stay and explore, or you can do running pigeon. And take your time, but we'll all meet in the side bend, and you don't have to rush to get there. Enjoy the ride. Eventually bring right hand to right hip crease. Equal weight in both feet and knees, and then slowly reach up and over to the left. And here we add on that shearing action of gently gliding through the left side body. The heart leads the way. Sometimes it can be helpful to come slightly out of your side bend so you feel more integrated, and you might feel like you have a little bit more space for rotating the spine here. And then reach both arms up, melt them down inside of the right foot, tuck the back toes, step the back foot forward. You can move your blanket out of the way. We won't need it till the end. Bring the feet underneath the hips, bend the knees deeply, let the head hang, let the weight come into the heels, but keep the big toes down. If it feels good, sway the hips or enjoy stillness. And then let's rise up, letting the movement come from the feet. So start to push down into the feet, and notice how that helps the spine get lighter. If you need more support for the spine, bring the hands onto the thighs, or you can use the support of your core to support the front of the spine as you slowly roll up. And we'll pause in Tadasana, just taking that in and hopefully noticing a sense of balance through the sides. If you circled the hips on the first round, you can add a little hip circle here. And before we go into our standing sequence, let's go for a little walk. So just start to walk around your space, bringing particular attention down to the feet. And just like we did in our side body rolls, try to visualize your whole body moving through space really gracefully. Use as minimal effort here as possible, letting the springiness of your feet against the floor propel you. And then you can start to make your way back to your mat. Feel free to grab a sip of water. I'm really thirsty, so I might cue that more times than usual today. I think it's important to stay hydrated during the holidays more than ever. Okay, so we'll do our prep work for our dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Come to standing and face me. And take a moment. Don't look at your feet, but feel where is the most natural for your feet to be underneath the hips, and feel where you think it is. And then anchor the big toe and ever so gently spiral the thighs open so you feel a sense of support in the hip socket, and see if you can lengthen upward through the spine, softening the arms. And then without any judgment, look down and just notice where your feet are. Looks really good from the outside. But even if something's off kilter, that's a really good clue to patterns of the body. So take it in and don't judge. You'll know the answer someday. Let's find a drishti, a steady gaze point, as we start to build some strength in the legs. We'll just take I'll turn so you can see, pulses into chair pose. And try to be nice and light here. It doesn't matter how far you're going. Feel equal support in both feet and both hips. As you come up, you can play with coming onto tippy toes to challenge your balance a little bit. And the next time you're down in chair, start to shift the weight over into the left foot. And as you come up, let the right foot hover. And then we'll switch sides, chair into the other side. And play with this. Now you know what you're doing. Refine the drishti and see how stable you can become on one leg. I love calling this single leg Tadasana so that you know that the goal is to feel just as stable as you are with 2 feet on the ground. And the next time you're balancing on your left foot, you can pause there and reach the arms up and let the knee relax just a little bit. And now that same action from the beginning of class where we dragged the hands down to lengthen the spine, play with that as you lift the knee. And take a couple of pulses like that. And today only, this is our nutcracker pose. And we'll start to let the body open into dancer. And I've really been having fun keeping my pelvis pretty neutral here. And so that dancer really is more, in this expression, an experience of the glutes rather than like a deep back bend. So feel free to try that. And the next time the leg is back in dancer, bend the left knee generously and allow the right leg to step behind you comfortably, setting up for our curtsy. It can be dramatic, the leg can cross, but I want you guys to give yourself permission to sort of explore where that back leg is going to be. Oh, nice. I like that, Anjali. You can even come back into nutcracker and then find your curtsy. So take a few explorations, and then when you find something that feels stable and supportive for your pelvis, pause there and we'll add in our nice side bend that we did in our lunge. And breathe through that right side. And let's do one more on that same side just to get the muscle memory of going from nutcracker into our curtsy. And then we'll return to nutcracker and allow the hip to open into tree pose. The foot can be wherever is comfortable, and you can enjoy stillness, or you can play a little bit with allowing the rib cage to reach. Try pushing down extra into the foot to notice if that helps you get more expression of your spine. And then set the right foot down, relax the arms down, close the eyes if that feels safe, and just take in that experience on the first side. And now we'll balance it out on the second side. So shift the weight over into, actually we did a little differently. Come into your chair pose and then shift the weight into the right foot. Push down into the right foot. Take your left leg with you. Take one moment to find your your single-legged Tadasana, and then reach the arms overhead, soften the knee down. See how relaxed you can be in the hip flexor, and then drag the hands down as you lift the leg. Take a couple of pulses like that, and then let it start to expand. So as the knee lowers, you allow it to glide behind you towards dancer, and then each pulse, it evolves. The next time the leg is behind you, bend the right knee, step the foot back. First experiment of your curtsy. And then if your balance allows, I love this evolution of going from nutcracker to the curtsy and exploring different foot placements. Or just trusting that where the foot goes is perfect as long as you feel supported. Everyone looks great. Nice, so bouncy, Roseanne. And once you feel comfortable in your curtsy, you can pause and add on that side bend. And remember to push down into the feet and notice what that helps you explore through the spine. And last one, we return to the nutcracker, but then allow the hip to open. Hold still or wave a little bit. And set the left foot down and pause at center. And imagine you're lying on your belly with the hands stacked as we do so often, and feel that sense of connection to the earth and expansion three-dimensionally, front body, side body, back body. Okay, we'll put it all together. The third track, our peak moment, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Bye, Mom. I'm sorry you're going to miss the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Hope you're doing something awesome. So I'm going to demo this one time. We're going to do everything we just did, but we're going to put both sides together in a fun way. So it'll be up to you how many times you want to repeat the nutcracker to dancer. You'll add in your curtsy, and then you'll go right into tree. So from curtsy to tree. And then you'll lift the knee into nutcracker and step it behind you to go to the other side. And then we repeat. And this is my favorite part, especially with the music, so you can milk it a little bit. And I'll talk you through that, but I wanted you to see that transition. So let's all turn to the left in Tadasana. Find your drishti, and as you're ready, shift the weight, hover the hands and the leg, and pull the hands down to lift the right knee, and then start to let the body open and expand into dancer. Take as many pulses here as you want, and then you'll add in your curtsy. I like fluttering my fingers in the curtsy. And then bounce right up into tree. Perhaps there's that little wave with the rib cage. And then lift the knee, glide the foot back, and spiral all the way to the other side. Same thing, second side, starting with the nutcracker. And then playing between that and dancer. And you can always move at your own pace or stay with me, eventually crossing the leg behind into the curtsy. And then right into your tree. When you're ready, the knee lifts and then send the foot back all the way to the other side. We'll do it 2 more times on each side. Give yourself permission to add and subtract anything that the body is asking you to do. And there's one final thing we'll be doing from our curtsy in the last round. And so there's no need to rush, but the next time you're curtsying with the left leg forward, pause there, or even come to neutral if you're already there and you don't want to wait a long time. So from our curtsy, we'll add on our side bend with our left hand in our hip, and we'll push into the feet and start to explore a little more rotation with the spine. So it's kind of like the shearing, but we've worked our way up to be able to side bend in both directions and even add a little bit of spinal extension. You don't want to be in your deepest side bend or your deepest back bend here, but use the feet to feel safe and see what's available. Have fun. Can let that top arm get a little dramatic with some big lassoing actions that allow the shoulder blade to glide over the rib cage. And then the next movement is tree. You can pause and tree, or you can be a little dramatic. This is your last expression of tree on this side. You've earned a deep sense of balance and a lot of variability with the spine. And then eventually lift the right knee, glide the right foot back, turn all the way to the other side. And then this is our very last side. So it starts with nutcracker to dancer. And then we take it into the curtsy, and this is where we'll add on that last exploration. So right hand and the right hip crease this time as you go into the side bend. And then you can start with the shearing that we've done a few different times, but then allow it to get a little bigger, rotating through the spine, making sure to feel a sense of lift and expansion. And then allow the arm to kind of be the cherry on top that flows all the way up from the work of the feet and the spine. And then eventually step forward into your tree. Challenge the balance of your tree with some shifting and spiraling of the arms. And then lift the left knee, step the left foot behind you, but this time we'll just turn to the side, landing in a straddle, and take a moment to relax the arms down and then bring the hands to heart center. Take a couple of breaths just to drink in that experience. And then go to the next track on your playlist. That was a great transition, Angeli. Bring your hands to your hips and let the weight start to shift around in the feet. So first it rocks back to the heels, but the big toes always stay anchored. And then towards the outer edge of the right foot, and then the balls of the feet, and then outer edge of the left foot. And let the movement come from the weight shifting in the feet, but notice how the pelvis follows. And then notice how the movement of the spine follows. And then let the feet circle the other direction, or the weight in the feet rather. And as the weight transfers, imagine that familiar shape of your footprint and try to feel that from the heel to that outer edge, from the right side of the ball of the foot to the left side, just making that beautiful, almost like C-like shape with each foot. And then let your circles get smaller and smaller until there's equal weight in both feet and your hips are just making the tiniest little invisible circle. Connect with your breath. Glide the arms up like we've practiced so many times. And then as you drag the hands down, let the whole front of the body open. Push down into the heels and see if that gives you a little more extension through the front of the body. And then reach up. I'm going to turn to the side. Bend the knees and allow the spine to drape over the thighs. The hands can glide down the thighs or come to the floor, and gently start to shift the weight from foot to foot, letting one knee bend at a time, letting the hips sway. Let the spine be soft. And then lower one knee at a time so you're in tabletop. Press the hips towards the heels, push down into the shins to roll up to a high kneel. And we're going to play with that movement from earlier one more time, because sometimes it gets easier after you put it on the back burner. So let's take a rock back. And then kneeling chair into the hip roll. And then let the movement get smaller and smaller, because we're at the end of class. We're not trying to do too much effortful things here. And just see how smooth you can make this movement. One more round. And then pause at the top and allow the hips to come over to the left side and make a nice easy twist to the left. And push down into the shins and let the whole spiral start in the feet and the shins. And the whole rest of the body follows. And then reach the arms overhead and start to push down into the shins to float up into kneeling, and then we can lower to the other side, gently twisting to the right. And then press the shins down into your mat, letting the body naturally express itself effortlessly. Connect with the breath. Try to feel both sides of the rib cage expanding here, especially that left side. And then kick the legs out in front of you. There's a couple of options actually. So you'll either be using a chair or a stack of 2 blankets to put your legs up on. Both are great. So whatever you want to use. This is when you'll need your strap as well. So make a loop in the strap, the hardest part of yoga class, right? If you're using a chair, the loop is just going to go around the thighs just above the knee, and then you'll tighten it so that when you put your legs up on the chair, the legs stay together. If you are using the stack of blankets, your loop will be a little bit bigger because it will also slide around the first blanket. Before you bind yourself, make sure the lighting in your room is pleasant. Grab any warm layers. If you have an eye pillow or just anything you enjoy in Shavasana, grab it. If you need a last sip of water. And you'll also want to fade your music out. And take your time setting up your elevated leg Shavasana. And know that as you come down, you might have to come up again and make adjustments. So be emotionally prepared for that. Don't worry, you're going to have so much time to enjoy this. There's no need to rush. And as you make your way onto your back, make sure the low back feels comfortable and supported. So you might need to scooch a little closer to the blankets. I just did that and I'm glad I did. So feel free to try that. And wiggle the spine a little bit and make sure the positioning of the shoulders on the rib cage feels comfortable. Wiggle the neck and let the base of the skull reach away from the shoulders. So that's like the action of tucking your chin. And then let the body start to relax. Close the mouth and breathe through the nose if you're able. And gently allow the tongue to rest on the roof of the mouth. This should make the breathing full and effortless. And just like we've played with through class, with the eyes closed, try to visualize your whole body. Try to take everything in at once. And let yourself be supported. And if you don't feel that way, make whatever adjustments help you to be supported and safe and comfortable. And then let your focus drop into the center of the heart. And when Babaji talks about the heart center, he says it's more expansive than the entire universe. And so open to the possibility that as you rest here, you can feel vaster than you ever thought possible. You can feel so much nourishment and space from any tensions in your life, in your mind, in your body. You don't have to do anything, but try to keep your focus awake at the heart as you relax very, very deeply. And we'll have 15 minutes in silence here. If at any time you don't want to have your legs up, you're welcome to adjust into a normal Shavasana, but it's totally safe and restorative to be here. And we'll relax now. Take a moment to just observe your whole body. Almost let yourself set an anchor in the present moment. And you may observe as we begin to transition that things start to pull you into the future and into the past. And let's just take a few breaths right now to feel that steadiness and groundedness and clarity that's possible when you're present. Breathe down into the heart, visualizing this anchor being laid in this deepest part of ourselves. And then with that as your focal point, you can begin the process of wiggling and gently waking the body and carefully sliding the legs from beneath the strap. You can move the blankets out of the way, and I invite you to enjoy being in your body, making any gentle rolling, stretching, waking movements. Eventually, the path will take you up to seated, but try to resist the urge to rush there. Let it be a process that you're engaged in. When you do eventually make it upward, you can use your stack of blankets as your meditation cushion or grab any additional props and find your way to a comfortable meditation seat. And once you've found your perch, you can explore it a little bit by gently circling the weight around in the pelvis, feeling the front, back, and sides of each sit bone. And try to feel how the spine ever so gently moves through space as you do that, kind of like in a funnel shape. And circle the other way. And then keeping the momentum and the pathway of the circling, anchor both sits bones. And notice that sense of strength that emanates when the pelvis and legs are fixed and the movement comes from the layers of the core and the spine. And let the movement get tinier and tinier until you find stillness. And it's almost like a stillness that's moving you upward. And you can close the eyes or find a single gaze point, close the mouth. And let your inward gaze be directed at the heart center. And let the breath be as relaxed, effortless, and natural as possible. And as you inhale, notice any sense of expansion, lightness. And imagine you're dropping into the space between the cells. where the most expansive realm lies. And as you exhale, it's that sensation of laying the anchor at the deepest inner place. And feeling yourself let go of anything that's pulling on you. And it's okay if you notice an experience of the mind or the body that's captivating. See if you can practice that observer perspective that we've been playing with, where you're bigger and more expansive and you can feel the spaciousness of your heart, and whatever comes up in the mind is so tiny in relation to that spacious state. And as we play with this witnessing and the breath, you can attach the mantra Om Namah Shivaya to each inhale and each exhale. And the mantra is like a roadmap or a GPS system that automatically takes you into the spaciousness of the inner self. And the breath helps, and the visualization, as we've been using, help. The mantra really can make it happen instantly. And so staying relaxed and staying open, play with repeating the mantra in the most genuine way possible, with a sense of curiosity, maybe even excitement. And let the energy of the mantra carry you deeper and deeper into the center of the heart. And all you have to do is keep letting go of the things that feel so pressing and so important. For the last 5 minutes of meditation, we'll add one of my favorite visualization practices. And so you'll continue with the breath and Om Namah Shivaya at the heart. You can visualize a golden thread traveling up from the heart to the crown of the head, and up from the crown of the head to the most perfect version of yourself, about a foot above the crown of your head. And you don't have to be fixated on the details, but just envision the most radiant, happy, healthy, glowing version of yourself floating about a foot above the crown of your head. And with each breath into the heart and each repetition of the mantra, you can imagine that glowing version of you becoming brighter and brighter, and the center of your heart becoming brighter and brighter. And for me, when I do this practice, it's less about what this perfect version looks like, and it's more about what this perfect version feels like. And so you just keep doing the practice and letting that heart energy rise to that perfect form of yourself. And maybe you even start to feel those qualities radiating upon you and in you and from you. And try to stay relaxed. And it's almost like just allowing that form of yourself to be revealed, but you're not creating it, you're not generating it, you're not shooting energy to it, you're just breathing into the heart and letting that radiance of your heart travel to illuminate this part of you that already exists and just becomes more and more clear each time you practice. In the last couple of breaths, release the practice. You can imagine that perfect form, almost like a hologram overlaying over your body. And let yourself relax into that new experience of you. Thank you so much for practicing with me and becoming your best self. Happy New Year, everybody. Can't wait to see you soon. Namaste. Aloha, everyone. Have a great celebration, and when you're looking at fireworks or whatever fun thing you do for the New Year's, that's a great time to feel with that practice and connect with the highest form of yourself. So great to see you, Anjali. Have fun with your family.